I went to the Obsession movie and left in an ambulance. My friends had been talking about this movie for weeks and would not let it go. They kept telling me I had to see it in a packed theater because it wasn't even about the movie anymore. It was about what the crowd does. Eventually, they wore me down and I agreed to go that night, but I honestly had no idea what I was walking into. I'm not really a horror person, and I hadn't watched a single clip or read anything about it. All I knew was that it was some low-budget movie about a guy who makes a wish to get his crush to fall in love with him, and that it had somehow blown up out of nowhere. And when we got there, I could already tell something was different. The theater was completely sold out. Every single seat was full, and people were cheering and clapping before the lights even went down. I remember thinking that this was the crazy part everyone had been warning me about. I figured that was it. But then the movie actually started. From the first few minutes, the entire room was reacting to everything on the screen. People were laughing at the awkward parts, gasping when the girl started acting strange, and yelling things back at her every time she got more intense. It was loud, but it still felt fun. Like everyone in the building was in on the same joke. The girl on screen kept getting more obsessive and more unhinged, smiling these wide, creepy smiles and snapping between sweet and absolutely terrifying, and every single time she did it, the crowd got a little louder. I started to relax and actually enjoy myself. And then we got to that scene. I noticed it before it even happened. The people around me started sitting up straight and reaching for their phones. Half the theater pulled their cameras out and aimed them at the screen, and a bunch of people quietly rose to their feet like they were getting ready for something big. I had no clue what they were all waiting for. The tension in the room was insane, like the air had changed. And then the girl on screen leaned in, locked eyes, and screamed that one word at the top of her lungs, and as soon as she did, it happened. The entire theater detonated. Everyone screamed the word right back at the screen as loud as they physically could, over and over, until you genuinely could not hear the movie at all anymore. People threw their popcorn straight up into the air, threw their drinks, and a few rows behind me, people started climbing on top of their seats. I was laughing and screaming along with everyone else for maybe 2 seconds before I realized it was actually getting out of control. The screaming turned into shoving, and the shoving turned into a literal mosh pit forming a couple of rows behind me. I couldn't see anything through the popcorn and the bodies, and I couldn't hear a single thing except the screaming. Every guy in those back rows was slamming into each other and falling forward, and the entire wave of them started collapsing down toward the front. I tried to get out of my row, but there was nowhere to go and no time to go anywhere. However, before I could even move, someone got shoved hard from behind and came down directly on top of me, and their full body weight took me straight down with them. Now I was on the floor between the seats, in front of all of it, with people still falling and stepping over me like I wasn't there. I curled up and tried to cover my head with my arms, but before I could get back up, I felt something heavy come down on the side of my head and slam it into the metal edge of the seat in front of me. The pain was instant and white, and I couldn't even understand what had just happened to me. I tried to scream, but nothing came out, and I literally could not move at all. Everything around me just kept going like I had completely disappeared. The next thing I remember, the lights were on and staff and police officers were pushing through the room, making everyone leave. They were shouting at people to get out and emptying the whole theater row by row. Everyone else got told to go home, but I couldn't stand up on my own, and there was red liquid running down the side of my face onto the floor, so they kept me there and called an ambulance. Turns out that when that person came down on me, the side of my head got driven straight into the steel corner of the seat, splitting it wide open and fracturing the bone around my eye. The entire left side of my face is crushed and numb. I can't feel part of my cheek at all, and now I have to get surgery to put a metal plate in, just to hold the bone together. That word was. Click here to watch part 2 of the story.